Hi folks, it's John. I was thinking this morning, one of my favourite films of all time was Sean Connery playing James Bond in a film called Goldfinger. And one scene in that film I thought was really good. Goldfinger had James Bond strapped to a kind of a bench, and he was shooting a beam of gold, and this beam was going to go up between his legs and through the rest of his body, and it would literally cut him in half whilst he was still alive. And in his moment of panic, Bond cried out to Goldfinger, "Goldfinger, what do you want me to do?" And with a look of chill in his eyes, he looked straight at James Bond and he said, "What do I want you to do? I want you to die, Mr. Bond. Just die." How gruesome. But then it was just a film. One of my favourite chapters in the whole of the Bible is Revelation chapter 1. It's not about the future. It's not about the strange goings on the earth during the last days. It's a very here and now kind of a story. Let me give you a backdrop. Here's John the Apostle. He's the only one left alive. All the others have been brutally murdered. John the Apostle, the only one remaining, is now trapped on this 4 by 8 miles Roman penal colony. Bearing in mind, John was on the campaign trail with Jesus. He had a very special relationship with Jesus. They were good friends, we might say, as well as being master and servant. John had seen all the miracles. He'd seen the feeding of the 5,000. He'd seen the raising of the dead. He'd seen demons cast out. He'd seen everything. And even when Jesus ascended into heaven, John was in the thick of it, preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, doing miracles, and opposing the hypocrisy of the local government. So John had had a very colourful life with Jesus, and just after Jesus had ascended into heaven. And now he's stuck on this little Roman penal colony. Can you imagine how he must have felt? Even though he was a strong man, a wonderful saint of God, he still had feelings. Can you imagine how he must have felt stuck there on that penal colony? I worked for 21 years in one of Her Majesty's prisons as a chaplain. I saw some wonderful things in there, led many men to Christ. I saw miracles, saw some pretty amazing things happen to people while I was in there. After 21 years I retired, and that's when Revelation chapter 1 became one of my favourite chapters, because I began to realise how John must have felt after what he'd been through and seen and done. And now he is tossed on the scrap heap. How did he get food? How did he get water? We don't know. What happened to him afterwards, we're really not sure. But we can guess how he must have felt. But for all of that, John remained true to the Lord. I just want to read just one verse from the story in Revelation chapter 1, where John said, "On the Lord's day, I was in the Spirit." On the Lord's day, I was in the Spirit. So no matter what happened to John, by the way of how he must have felt about the circumstances, he remained faithful to the Lord, because on the Lord's day, he was in the Spirit. And then something very, very wonderful happened. Behind him was a great light, and this voice shouted, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end." We can only conjecture what happened there, but I can imagine John must have just turned round, and there he was. We could say his old friend, his master. So after what John had been through, all the highs and all the lows, Jesus did not abandon him, because there on the Isle of Patmos, in the worst case scenario, he was now about to embark upon the greatest revelation that has blessed countless millions of people down throughout the ages. We are so grateful to Jesus for what he showed John in this book of Revelation, because he brought direction to the church. He brought hope and a future and an explanation, if you like, to the church. Friends, I just want to encourage you in this way. I don't know what you're going through right now. I know the difficulties I went through when I retired, and I thought, is there anything left for me? And now I've established another aspect of ministry, this being one of them. And right now my life is just buzzing. My church is buzzing. And I want you to know that God will not forsake you. Jesus will not abandon you. Just like John on that island, after so much that he'd been through, so much excitement, and then of course so much despair almost. But Jesus had something very wonderful in store for him, and that was the revelation that was to come. And so it is for you, so it is for every one of us. We don't have to think that Jesus will ever abandon us. No matter what you're going through now, no matter what any of us are going through now, we may be going through some very difficult times. I know people that are going through very painful times, pain in the bodies, pain in the heart, and yet they don't give up hope. They don't lose that hope within themselves that Jesus will turn up. And just like he turned up for John in Revelation chapter 1, and like he's turned up for me with giving me a newer kind of a ministry, a different kind of a ministry, but a ministry that is buzzing. When I was in the prison, it used to be like picking fruit off trees. But so it's coming back again. And I want to encourage you with this thought. Don't despair. Don't give in. Be in the Spirit on the Lord's day. And he will come. He will come to you at your greatest time of need. God bless you, folks. Have a good week. See you again. Bye.